Hello and welcome back to another One Piece video. So today we're going to be taking a look at Red Ace in the OP17 format. It kind of sucks for the OP17 Newgate, but I think that Ace just uses this package a lot better than he can, just because his ability being able to give one of your characters rush just helps you combat this meta of being super aggressive, because I think a lot of the decks now, they have tools to both be offensive and defensive. And since Newgate's ability is just purely defensive and only as counter as well, I think that Ace definitely has a better time in this format being able to, one, make use of the new Newgate's on play ability to make him an 8,000 power leader, but also just giving him rush so that you're able to pressure your opponent, whether for game or just controlling board. But just hopping over to the deck list now, we're going to be playing 4 of the Garps here, just because Garp being able to universally search for your leader is just really good. Also 2 of the Izos, so Izos in here just as a secondary searcher. Also, I wanted a character searcher. I could have played the new 1 cost event, but I like that Izo at least is able to get a body on board in case you're going up against one of those decks that do use smaller bodies. And then for the 2Ks, we are running 2 of the Namuls and then 2 of the new Rakuyos. So I like the 2 and 2 split here, just because sometimes you do want to KO more than just one character. So Namul is good if you want to save Dawn to KO just one character, but if you do have more than one target, Rakuyo is good for that. For the 4 costs, I'm actually splitting it as well, 3 Luffys and 3 Little Oars Jr. So Luffy's just really good at defending your leader in the mid to early game, because in the late game, you're going to just be dropping the 10 cost Newgate so that you can pump your leader up to 8,000 power. But in the meantime, Luffy can help pump your leader up to 7,000 power, making it really hard for your opponent to combat back on your board, right? So Little Oars Jr. as well is just another option for you to play out, just so in the early game you are able to establish a blocker. Hopefully, if you don't have to use him when you play out your larger bodies in the 8 cost and 10 cost Newgate, this Little Oars Jr. can be a little more offensive for you. And I'm actually sticking to the 4 of the 5 cost aces. I noticed that some people cut this card out or reduced it down to like 2 copies or something, but I really like its effect of being able to search on play and also on KO. And also, because we are playing a ton of 8k power bricks, I think it's just really important to have them on the board, especially if you are low in counter and you find yourself with a ton of bricks in your hand. For the 6 costs, we're going to be running 4 of the Vistas and 4 of the Marcos. So I think it's really important to load up on these cards too, just because Marco defends your bodies on getting removed off the board, and so it's really important that you develop him against matchups that are able to remove your bodies off the board. And also Vista, just being able to remove characters with base power is really strong, and I like his on play ability being able to replace himself if you have another character with 8,000 power in your hand. Next up, we have the 4 Kyrios and 3 Kingdoos. I know that it's a lot of 2k counters that I'm playing in the deck, including the 0 cost event, but I just wanted to increase the 8,000 power density so that when it is time to play down the Newgate, or if you have to play stuff like Namul or their Vistas on play effect, you do have targets for that. And so I like the 7 here. I could bump it up to 8 as well, but I just wanted to make space for the Izo. Lastly, for the 8,000 power lineup, we're just going to be playing 2 of the Thatches here. So Thatch is super nice, being able to reduce himself by 3 cost. So in the late game, especially if you're not able to find your Newgates, Thatch is a good option to be Dawn efficient. And then finally, for your top end, we're going to be playing 3 of the 8 cost Newgates and then 4 of the 10 cost Newgates, just because this 10 cost Newgate being able to be flexible, being able to reduce himself down by 4 cost if your opponent has a character with 10,000 power or more, you're able to just be super Dawn efficient and pressuring your opponent super heavy. Even if you have to play him down for 10 Dawn, I think because your leader is able to give him rush, he's just super powerful, both offense and defense, being able to pump your leader up to that 8,000 power. And then only 3 of the 8 cost Newgates, just because sometimes I do have him in my hand and I don't have enough targets for him. And so instead of like loading up on bricks in hand, I decided to only play him at 3. And I think because you are drawing a lot, especially with Vista, Izo, and your Garp Searcher, also with the Moby Dick as well, most of the time when you do need him, you should be able to find him. And then for the events here, I am playing the Whitebeard 0 cost event versus the Straw Hat 0 cost event, just because I do like the flexibility of being able to just cycle this if you don't have any other searcher for 1 Dawn. And then also, we're obviously going to be playing 4 of the Moby Dicks, just because this card being able to synergize with like Vista, and also since you're able to just pick up anything in your deck, this is a really nice to have. Okay, so hopping into the first match here, we're going to go up against OP17 Luffy here. So Luffy can go super wide here, so we do want to be as aggressive as possible, especially being able to deal with his bodies before he can spam out all of his 2-cost characters. And so here he does play down the Roto, also playing down the Brook. I was just clicking around in the replays here, and so unfortunately we do ditch one of the 2Ks out of our hand. So playing down the Brook means that he does have a 5k power to work with next turn, but should be totally fine just because we're not too pressured just yet. Because we have the 10 cost Newgate as well, if he does play down the Loki, we should be able to play him down for 6 Dawn here. And so I don't want to deal with any of his 2 cost or lower shenanigans, and so just making use of the Rakuyo here, just because next turn, thanks to Luffy's effect, we should be able to play him out with the Little Oars Jr. anyways. And so I'm not too worried about being Dawn efficient. Instead, I want to just remove as much board presence as possible, right? So playing out another Gird into another Roto here, forcing us to discard another hand with that Brook. But again, not too pressured here. He is only able to develop 2 chump blockers and a 5000 power body. And so our next turn, we should start taking over the tempo of the board here. So probably just going to be swinging in 5 at lead here and dropping the Luffy into Little Oars Jr. So that next turn we can just like play down the Thatch so that the Little Oars Jr. can get pumped up. But if he plays down something like the Loki, we can play down the Newgate instead, right? So on his 7 Dawn turn, he actually plays down the Loki here, so that's great for us, swinging or getting rid of the Luffy thanks to his on-playability. But at this point, he can only swing in 2 5s, and so I'm not too afraid here just because the Newgate will be able to pump our leader up to 8000 power. And so him swinging in 5 at lead here, just gonna give him the counter out of the first swing, and then swinging in with the Brook, I'll take the second swing. That's totally fine with us. And so now we are pretty healthy in hand size, but we do have a ton of bricks in hand, but should be fine just because we are able to pump our leader up to 8000 power. And now using the Moby Dick here, just because we do have the Loki on the field, we should be able to be pretty Dawn efficient. And so swinging in 5 with the Garp, just trying to ask for a counter, and actually able to eat a 2k counter out of that minimum swing here. So just going to pressure off that Brook as much as possible, and then making use of the 8000 power of our Little Oars Jr. now, just because our leader is already at 8000 power, and so I'm not too afraid of any Krakens that he might have, because if he plays down the Rush Luffy, then he can only swing in, or I guess ask for minimum swings with the Loki and the Luffy unless he attaches Dawn to him, and he does answer with the Luffy here, being able to draw a card and then playing out something from his trash, probably going to be another blocker. But instead he actually plays out the Nico Robin, swinging in 5 into our Little Oars Jr. And then I think that's totally fine here, just because we do have another Newgate coming down. We should be able to pressure his board super heavily here. And so now swing in 9 at lead, probably just going to give him a 2k here, right? Just because we do want to stay as healthy as possible, because looking at our hand, we don't actually have too much counter to work with. And so we do want to make him think that we have a lot of counter. And so just going to try to stay healthy here. And then using our tall stat lines now, trying to get rid of this Luffy off the board. And if he tries to defend out of this Luffy or out of the swing with the Gird, we should be able to pressure it super hard with the Newgate, right? So I think at this point, we should be able to pressure his life, just because if I swing into the Loki, because he's at 11k power, it's going to be really hard for us to get him off the board. So he actually takes both the swings here, and so we are able to bring him down to 0 life. And thanks to that Loki still being on the board, just because I didn't want to pressure him off the board, just because we do have that other 10 cost Newgate in our hand, and it feels really good to be able to play him down for 6 costs, right? So as long as that Loki is on the field, we should be able to pressure him. but it looks like he just scoops it up. He could have played down another Luffy, but there's actually just no way for him to really push for game unless he turns all of his body sideways, but I think at this point we just had too much power on the board for him to deal with. Okay, so second match I got for you, we're going to be going up against Purple Kaido here, and then luckily we do have the event to be able to search, just because in our starting hand we didn't really have any searchers, and that's why I like this event so much, is because we're actually able to cycle into a Garp, and so our next turn at least we have something to play. And it looks like on his 2 Dawn turn here he doesn't have anything to play, and so just going to make use of this, trying to get as many cards as we can for our future turns here. And then probably going to be swinging in 6 at lead. I could swing in 7, but I do want to cycle as much as possible here. So just revealing that thatch again, so that we can just draw another card. Hopefully finding the 8 cost or the 10 cost Newgate. And luckily we do have this 8 cost Newgate, so that when it is time to play him down, we should be able to pressure his board a ton. So swinging in 6 at lead here, able to bring him down to 4 life. And then he does play down the Basil Hawkins, being able to ramp himself, and then playing down the 1 cost queen here means that next turn he may be able to ramp up, but I really don't want that to happen. So I think next turn I might actually just play down the Namul, so that we get rid of his Dawn recursion, right? So him swinging in 6 at lead, most likely going to be taking this one, just because obviously we don't want to give up the Namul, because we do want to get rid of this queen off the board, right? And then having the Garp as well as an option to search for next turn is going to be really nice for us. And so I think I actually do decide to play down the Garp and Namul, and then we should be able to pressure in at least 2 5k swings here. So starting off with a 5k swing with our lead, I just think that if I do play down the ace here, I'm just going to give him too many opportunities to ramp down or to ramp up. And so instead I play down the Namul here, getting rid of his queen, and then just revealing the thatch that we already revealed in the previous turns. Now swinging in 5 at lead with our Garp, just asking for 1 more counter, or if we are able to get him down to 3 life, that'd be great for us as well, just because in the late game we should be able to just drop bombs on him over and over again. So actually that swing does connect, we are able to get him down to 3 life here, so that's great. And then just finishing it off with a Garp search here, able to find ourselves a Little Oars Jr. So next turn probably not going to be playing him down, but at least we do have counter to work with, right? So him swinging 5 at lead, I'm just going to give him one of these aces here, just because we definitely don't need 2, but I actually do decide to take. So I guess I was saving resources in hand, just because in the later turns when we are able to drop down our 10 cost Newgate, being able to save counter for when we are 8,000 power is going to be really nice as well. So luckily, since we did take, we do have the Vista to work with, so we should be able to play down the Vista, being able to pop his Black Maria here so that he doesn't get any value out of that one. And then thanks to the Vista as well, we are able to get a draw off of that. And so swinging 9 at lead, popping the Black Maria and his Basil Hawkins here, just because I didn't want to swing in with the leader first to give that Black Maria some blocker value, right? So he actually does Dawn down and counter out of the Vista swing, which is kind of crazy to me. I think he definitely should have been taking that first 9k swing and then countering out of our leader swing if he did want to counter. But anyways, he does play out the lead performers, and then the Black Maria as well, being able to reduce our Vista down by 2,000 power. And so if he wanted to, he can pressure in the Vista here with his king, which he does. And so luckily we do have a 2k to get out of this swing here. And then since that king is sideways now, I think what I'm going to do is play down the Newgate and then just use our puny bodies to be able to try to deal with that king off the board. Okay, so now on our 9 Dawn turn, luckily we are able to play out the Newgate and also have a Dawn spare to attach to our Vista. And so our Vista should be able to get rid of this Black Maria for us, while our smaller bodies should be able to pressure in this king, right? So swinging in 2 into the king here, trying to get him off the board, but if he dawns down really aggressively, that's going to be great for us as well, just because that means that he won't be able to play down his 10 cost bodies. And so swinging another 2 at lead, bringing him down to 7 Dawn already, and so that means that he shouldn't be able to get his 10 cost Kaidos out, him down to 1 card in hand. I'm just going to pressure another Dawn as well, just because if I swung into lead, that means that the double attack of the Whitebeard ability won't be super useful. Instead, I just swing into the king here, but he did have another lead performers anyways, and so him now just pressuring 5k at lead here, probably just going to be countering out of this one, because he does have a lot of power on board. I don't want to be taking life for free here. And then him swinging 11 into our Newgate, unfortunately we do have to let him go here. And then the king probably going to go into life, going to be taking that one, but thanks to the lead performers, our Newgate is now going to be 6 cost, and so we should be able to pressure in his board pretty heavily here. So swinging 13 into 11 means that he is forced to let that go, unless he wants to Dawn down and give us that card out of his hand. But that means that all we need is a minimum swing to get rid of these performers, right? So swinging 11 into 11, able to get that out of the way, and then swinging 8 at lead means that he only has 2 cards to work with. And so if he really wants to pressure us, he can try, but we do have another Edward Newgate coming down, and so I'm not too afraid of these Krakens. So him swinging in 10 into 6 here, he should be able to get this Vista off the board, just because I don't want to give him our entire hand. I don't think we could even get out of that swing anyways, but us being an 8k leader means that he's not going to be able to pressure us, right? So he can swing in with the lead performers to be able to get a life off of us, but I think that's the only swing that he's going to be able to pressure us with. But instead of swinging into our lead, he actually swings into the Newgate instead. But at this point, I'm just going to try to pressure him with the Newgate we have in hand, being able to pump our leader up to 8,000 power, and also having 4 Dawn to spare means that we should be able to just math them out here, right? So swinging in 8 at lead, able to get that life. Even though he does get a search, he shouldn't be able to get out of these tall swings anyway. So swinging in another 12, and then only 2 cards left in hand. That second Newgate got the job done for us. Okay, so next match I got for you, we're going to be going up against Blue Rocks, and luckily we were able to take second away from him, but unfortunately he does have his stage on his 1 Dawn turn, and so it looks like he does have a pretty good curve going into us here. Being able to play out the Stussy as well shouldn't be too big of an issue, just because she's only a 5k stat line, and so if he does want to use her effect, he does have to commit 3 more Dawn to do that. And so just going to be answering with a Luffy here, just to be as defensive as possible if we need it. But him swinging 5 at lead, I think I actually just take this one here. And it looks like he plays the Barbell, so that's a new card that I haven't seen yet. But yeah, just going to be taking that one, just because in the late game when we are able to pump ourselves up to 8,000 power, I think these counter cards are going to be more valuable in those turns, right? So starting off with a 5k swing, eating the stage counter, and then 6k swing with the Luffy, able to eat an event as well. And then thanks to our leader able to give us the character rush or rush with the Marco, we are able to bring him down to 3 life here. So he does answer with the Shiki here. So good thing about Marco is that even if Shiki is able to get him off the board, his on KO effect is just going to make him super sticky, right? So obviously just going to be countering out of this minimum swing here, and also the Luffy being able to pump our leader up to 7 means that he can't pressure us too hard. So him swinging in 9 into our Luffy, making him a 4,000 power, there's just no way for us to defend out of that swing there. And so now Barbell can still swing. He can use his effect to pump himself up by 3,000 power. Looks like that's exactly what he does, and there's no way we're going to be countering out of that one. And so I think now it's going to be a good time to drop the Newgate, just revealing the 2 8,000 powers in our hand, and then trying to deal with this Shiki here. So swinging 8 into 3, if he wants to defend out of this swing, he's going to have to give us his entire hand to do that. And so I'm just going to pressure him as much as we can here. Before the Shiki dies, actually, he can use his effect, and it looks like he does, to reduce our Newgate down to 7,000 power. Just gonna check real quick if he wants to give us 2 life here, but he does use the stage and an event to get out of this swing. And so I'm just gonna make use of that. Gonna be targeting his Barbell instead. So now his board is pretty dwindled down. Also his hand size only being at 2 cards in hand now. We are in a really good spot. The only bad thing is that we don't have the 10 cost Newgate to work with next turn, but we do have the 2 Garbs to search out, and we also have the Marco to play out if necessary, right? Just because the Marco being super sticky is just going to constantly pressure him every turn. And so him swinging 5 at lead now, I'm just going to counter out of one of these Garbs here. just because we also have the Ezo. I think I should have probably pitched the Ezo instead, just because the Garp can dig heavier than the Ezo can. But now he finally uses the Stussy ability, making our Newgate unable to attack. But now using the Garp, we are able to find the Vista here. I think I actually play out the Vista, just because the Vista's on playability will be able to replace himself. And so just revealing the Kinkdu, being able to give Vista rush as well. Probably just going to pressure this Stussy off the board, just because I don't want her to get constant value. And so swinging in 8 at lead now, probably going to be pressuring in. I could pressure in with a 10k swing as well with the ace, but I do want to stay defensive, right, in case he goes super wide. And so here I'm probably just going to be swinging in 8 at lead with our leader before dropping the Luffy down. So thanks to his stage and also the Linlin, he's actually able to get out of the swing, but he did have to give us 3 cards to do that. And it looks like since he had 2 rocks in his hand as well, even if we did commit all 10 or all 3 Dawn to our leader to swing in 10 at lead, he was going to be able to get out of that anyways. And so now swinging in 5 at lead, just going to be using the Luffy ability to make it harder for him to crack in. And then now him swinging in a minimum, just going to give him a 1k as well. And then actually he just decides to scoop it up. It looks like the writing was really just on the wall at this point, especially because we got the Newgate off the top as well. We should have been able to just deal with his board. It looked like he didn't even want to use the Captain John effect, but we were able to get a pretty convincing win against Blue Rocks here. Finally, in our last match, we are going to go up against Green Shanks here, just because I think that he's probably the strongest green leader, or the strongest leader that came out of the OP17 new leader set, right? So he actually did decide to go first though, which is pretty surprising. I thought that Shanks likes to go second, but luckily for us, we do have a good curve going second anyways. So probably going to be swinging in 5 at lead here and then playing out the Luffy, just because we don't really have any better play. I could have developed the Moby Dick, but I'd rather have board presence than that Dawn attach, right? Just because he doesn't really play any small bodies for the Vista to pop anyways. And so next turn, probably a good time to just play out the Vista and use his tall stat line to swing in. And so now him swinging in 5 at lead, just going to be taking that one just because I don't want to go down in resources. And then since he doesn't have any Dawn remaining, he does have to pitch a card to stun this Luffy. And so just going to make use of the Vista now, just because him being able to replace himself is super nice. Just revealing the Thatch, being able to draw a card, and now pressuring in a 5 and an 8 here. And since he only has 5 cards in hand, now 6 cards, I think we should be able to get 2 life out of this, unless he wants to counter out super heavy. But yeah, we are able to get him down to 3 life. And also our board is pretty scary, right? So this is something that I definitely should have played around as well. I forgot that Bonk Punch was played in the Shanks decks. I could have played down the Marco. Even though we aren't able to draw a card, we'll be able to protect our bodies from his KO effect. But moving on from that misplay there, he does search out another Bonk Punch. And so next turn, we're definitely going to be developing the Marco and then using the Luffy ability. Even though he does swing in 6 with his lead, we are able to pump up to 7,000 power. And then him swinging in 7,000, or attaching that Dawn to the Yasop so that he can swing 7,000 power. That means that he has to pitch a card in order to use his leader ability. And so that's going to be really good for us. I think I'm going to develop the Marco here. I could develop the Newgate, but I do want to save the Newgate for when he does play down taller bodies so that we can deal with it. And so here, just going to be pressuring in a 6 and an 8. Hopefully at least getting that blocker off the board just so we don't have to deal with that. And so able to eat a 2k with the 6k swing, and then actually able to bring him down to 2 life with the Marco swing. And this turn as well, because we have the 2 Newgates coming up and also him using the Bonk Punch, we are able to make use of the Marco ability. And then next turn, if he does develop anything and leaves it sideways, we should be able to punish it with the Newgate. And so he does use the 1 cost event now, being able to search, and looks like he finds himself a Ben Beckman, but I think that's just too little too late. So now him swinging in 7 at lead, probably going to be countering out of one of these swings here, just because I don't want to go down to 0 life, right? So able to pump our leader up, or actually not even pumping our leader up. I think same difference, because we were going to be taking the second swing anyways. but him swinging in 7 at lead, just gonna be taking that one. And then now freezing our Luffy again, just being as annoying as possible. So here we can play down the Newgate just because he didn't develop anything, and we do have another Newgate to play with. I'm just gonna try to get as much power on board, and so swinging in 8 into his lead now. Should be able to get at least one of these blockers off the board, unless he wants to go down to 0 life, which is kind of crazy. So here swinging in 10 at lead, able to actually get that blocker, and then another 9 at lead. He does give us 2 blockers there, so able to bring him down to 1 life, meaning that even if he's able to deal with our Newgate, we should be able to pressure him super hard for game next turn. So he does answer with the 10 cost Shanks here, but if he's not able to go for game, we should be able to crack in super heavy, especially if he uses all of his Dawn to try to swing for lethal, right? So we do have a lot of counter to work with, thankfully. So him only swinging in a 5 at lead, just gonna give him a 1k at this point, just because even though we do have the Newgate to try to deal with the Shanks, I don't think it's worth it. Just because that Shanks, even if we reduce it by 6,000 power, he's still gonna be 6,000 power. I'd rather just try to go for lethal at that point, right? So him swinging in 8 at lead now. We do have enough counter to get out of this, and if he tries to turn on one of our bodies, to get out of that swing as well. And so I just give him a 2k, and then him swinging in probably 12 at lead. He could swing in 12 at the Luffy as well, but we do have the counter to get out of this swing. But he actually decides to swing in 12 at our Newgate, which makes it a lot easier to counter out of, but looks like he just scoops it up. So looking at his hand, he was pretty bricked up. He only had 2k counter to work with, and we just had way too much power on board, so able to get a pretty quick win against Green Shanks as well. And that's it for the gameplay. So if you made it this far, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. But honestly, this leader has been getting a lot of hype in the OP17 early format, and I think he deserves it, just because before this release, I think that his top end was just a little too weak, and then thanks to the new 10 cost Newgate, he really has legs in this format. I think definitely the ratios of this deck can be played around a little bit more, but I do like how this leader feels, being able to be super aggressive and also being super defensive thanks to the 4 cost Luffy and your 10 cost Newgate. But other than that, let me know if there's any other leaders that you guys want me to test out. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.